Hey, howdy, and a big welcome back to Yak City Gaming here on Clemhawks, everybody. I'm Yak, and I'm ready to take you through yet another career simulation here today in MLB The Show 22. And let me tell you, this one actually comes in by request for Jasson Dominguez of the New York Yankees. So yes, you're wondering why we're looking at the New York Yankees franchise screen. No, we're not starting a New York Yankees franchise. We are doing the exact same thing we did last time out with Bobby Witt Jr. to start his MLB career, the 10 years that ended up in, of course, Colorado at the end. But now we're doing it with Jasson Dominguez of the New York Yankees. Of course, he's going to start out in AAA because he's only 72 overall, and based on this roster here for the New York Yankees, they don't quite have room for him. I think mainly because of this guy right here, Aaron Hicks, who is a little bit of a problem. Miguel Andujar, I guess you could argue that you could switch him around and such, but we'll let the computer do what it needs to do to more accurately reflect Jasson Dominguez's career as it goes along. So let's get into the first half of the season, where we'll just kind of go down to the AAA level and see what happens down there. So sim through date and see what happens for this the Scranton team. Is looking not too bad right out of the gate, 9-2, 10-2, and this is already going a lot better than Bobby Witt Jr.'s start to his career with the Kansas City Royals, where he only made the playoffs once in those first 10 years, and he only made it to the World Series that year, and of course came up just short. So now we find ourselves simming through this one, a AAA season for the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Rail Riders, I believe is what their team name is. You think I've played RTTS enough, I'd know that, but unfortunately I don't. We'll get this going as we don't need to sign anyone. Everything's on auto mode anyway, so it's just more or less to see how the youngster that we're taking a look at today kind of progresses as things go along. Of course, against the Buffalo Bisons, the Toronto Blue Jays affiliate. And it looks like we're going to have a pause in the action there just briefly as they were trying to calculate, do we really give them 2 shutouts in a row? And right now, going into the futures game, obviously Dominguez is probably going to be in there. We don't need to worry about that, nor do we need to worry about the home run derby and the all-star game stuff. So 50 and 40 after the first little bit of the simulation. Not a bad start to things at all. And you can see here Jasson Dominguez now up to a 74 overall, 5 home runs, 42 RBIs, and 248 batting average. Not too bad. 262 at bats. See, he's got 4 stolen bases, caught 3 times, on base percentage of 314. So OPS, not too bad for a guy that, remember, his stats look like this. They're not fancy as of yet. Yes, he's gone up to a 74 because he's kind of grown a couple of key stats, right? The vision, the discipline, the contact, a little bit of contact, or clutch, sorry, the little bit of contact, and of course the durability is going up, and so is the fielding, so that's always going to help you out. And his WAR of 0.8, so he's not exactly a needle mover for this team as of yet, but you kind of see this, he indeed is a needle mover for this team because he's got 42 RBIs, which is the most on the team. And I guess at the same time we kind of get to watch Anthony Volpe kind of come along as well here, depending what happens with Dominguez as his career moves along here with the Yankees. So that's where we find ourselves halfway through the season. Let's get this minor league season over with and get him into the MLB coming next season. And so the NL defeats the AL, and now this is where we get into all this. Is it's going to be one notification after another of major trades upcoming, and that's fine and dandy because we shouldn't have anything too major happening for the Yankees here, and nothing there at all comes up. So that's good news for us who have got everything on manual and that or auto, which allows the computer to go out there and make trades on us, which could be a little bit of a problem. Not too many trades actually at the deadline this year compared to normal, I must say. So that's a different take on the deadline for sure, as now we're powering through into late September and getting a whole bunch of wins while doing it. 80 and 67, and congratulations, the Railroaders have made, or Rail Riders, I was correct, it was the Rail Riders, have made the postseason as an all-star team. So let's go quickly just calculate Jasson Dominguez's stats one last time. Up to a 75 overall, 11 homers, 76 RBIs, 235 batting average. Look at that, all those stats coming along just dandy now. And you see this all here, right? Looking good. Good. 299 OBP, that kind of slipped in a WAR of 1.2, so it could have been a lot better for him this season in AAA, but it is just what it is. And you know, watch this. The Yankees won't make the playoffs this year. We'll need a Jasson Dominguez coming up, and it looks like we've made it on to the second round of the playoffs. All right, guys, and that is it. The Rail Riders have been eliminated, so we'll now sim the rest of the postseason as the Mariners. Hey, boys, anyone out in the Pacific Northwest, that year was for you. And then this is all just stuff we don't really need to worry about. Shelby Miller retires from the Yankees after playing 13 games in 2021 and not playing at all in 2022. So there you go. Lots to go here as we'll sim the off season. And we don't have to worry about any of this. This is all taken care of for us, which is really, really nice. This is just all the players kind of signing here. And the Rays have traded Brooks Raley to the Yankees for Aaron Hicks. So, what was I talking about? I think that's one of those that frees up that spot for who other but our guy, Jasson Dominguez, at this point. So, that's going to allow us to get going here as Nick Castellanos goes for Raisel Iglesias. Okay, that's an interesting little trade. Rule 5 draft. We'll simulate that. And look at that. We powered through the intro and everything in the first 6 minutes. So, we're on to year number 2 within the first 6 minutes of the live stream or so. So now we take a look at who's in the lineup and everything like that on the bench. Got a couple of players, right? And does it look like we have added? No, it does not. Okay, interesting enough. They still have not added him to the MLB NHL roster. Yikes, you'd swore that's what I watched last night. Anyway, Sim Spring Training. And get this over with and see who comes up, who doesn't come up, and if we have to manipulate it, we will based on overalls, as that's end spring training, advanced to regular season. And down there in the lineups, what do we got? We don't have him up here yet, Higashioka. So did he not indeed re-sign with us? That could be the interesting part here, as it does look like Dominguez will start yet again in AAA. Alright, so center field. Okay, and let's go to lineups here for the Yankees. Center field, they've got Estevan Florial. That's really interesting. I haven't run into this issue because, of course, you had to start our thing. You had, what's his name, Bobby Witt Jr. on the MLB roster. So we'll just remove this guy from the MLB 40-man roster, add Jasson Dominguez to the 40-man roster, and call him up to the MLB. And we'll just send down the weakest link here, who is Estevan Florial. We'll move him to AAA, and that is it. That is all. That will solve our problems here. So Jasson Dominguez now gets to start in center field, batting second for the Yankees. There we go. So you know what? I said we'd start 1 year in AAA just to let him grow. Now let's get this going and get this season on with, as the Yankees off to a hot start, 8-0 to start Emmanuel Clase for Luis Gil and Oswald Peraza. Okay, that's an interesting trade. I guess that's a fair trade because Clase is actually an 87, so not a bad little deal there. Could have used keeping those prospects around, I imagine, but nonetheless, when you're winning this much, it really don't matter. 18-8 through the first month by the looks of it, so not too bad. And the Yankees make yet another trade right out of the gate there. So now 23-16, so things have kind of slipped here for the Yankees a little bit as the calendar keeps moving along, and we'll stop at the All-Star break and see what happens for our good man Dominguez here and see if he can bring anything to the table here at the MLB level, because that's the interesting part, right? Just because we promoted him this year doesn't mean he's going to do much of anything. He should do a little bit better than obviously Bobby Witt Jr. did in his rookie season, but this is 1 year into the simulation already, so this is the other side point to it. The Yankees now will trade Sammy Cortez and Yoandres Gomez for Yonny Hernandez to the Diamondbacks. And that will do it. We'll stop the simulation, skip the home run derby, and we'll take a look at what's going on here for Jasson Dominguez, who is 77 overall now. This guy's growing like crazy out there. Look at all those stats coming along really nice now. 3 home runs, 17 RBIs, a 282 batting average in 33 games. That's it. That's all they've got him batting in, because apparently he doesn't start when there's no DH against lefties. Okay. But you look at everybody else. Everybody else played 85 games, so obviously he's probably been injured at some point. But batting fantastic, one stolen base. So even that 94 speed, he's not out there stealing bases all the time. OPS 860. You like to see that. And that WAR is a 1.5, so that's a nice positive start to his career, that is for sure. So let's sim this season and see if the Yankees of all teams are going to make the playoffs or miss it just as the same. So it looks like Florial is gone from the Yankees as well. If you just missed that little pop-up right there, Ketel Marte goes to the Blue Jays. And this is just going to be a complete losing streak here. Told you there'd be a couple more trades as far as I figured, and that's what you're kind of starting to see here for everybody. And there you go. That is it. That is all. 60, 55, and now all of a sudden the wins coming in bunches again for the Yankees. You like to see that, followed by a bunch of losses though, so doesn't really get us as far as it could have, I guess you could say. And it's going to come down to September should the Yankees want a chance at the postseason here. And it doesn't look like we've really got a good shot, as it's going to take a heck of a winning streak here towards the end to clutch it off. Instead, well, the Rail Riders and Patriots finish below the 500 marks, and well, that'll be a 543 finish for the Yankees, and that's not good enough to make it. So to the postseason we go, as the Blue Jays defeat somebody in the postseason and win the World Series. Well, Dominguez is now up to, get this, a 78 overall, looking just phenomenal. 9 home runs, 37 RBIs on the season, a 265 batting average. And what did he have for WAR? 3.1 WAR. Okay. All right, good to go. And that OPS of 811. So this is a heck of a solid little season for Jasson Dominguez. 19 doubles, 12 triples, and 9 home runs. So out of his, that's 3140. Almost half of his 86 hits this season were for extra bases. And that's why he's scoring 50 runs despite only playing 86 games. So this guy might go out there and set the wins record or runs record kind of thing. Carlos Carrasco retires after having 3 games in 2023 with the Yankees. That's what you need to know there. Albert Pujols and Max Scherzer go to the Hall of Fames. Okay, perfect. And there we go. Let's get this going. Sim off season and see what happens to this Yankees team now. Yankees acquire Michael Lorenzen for Giancarlo Stanton. Can you say trades are still messed up in this game? A little bit, eh? But he's also 34, so he should start regressing. Shohei Ohtani signs a massive deal with the Red Sox. Then you've got Flaherty signing with the whoever that was. Ian Happ signs a deal. Nobody's signing with the Yankees here, guys. Nobody's signing with the Yankees. This is a big problem. Rafael Devers signs there. Sandy Alcantara gets a trade with the Marlins. And Lucas Giolito, Julio Urias, Harrison Bader. Wow, there's just no Yankee guys being signed. So let's go off to spring training and see what happens with this lineup here. Jasson Dominguez comes in there. Looks like we've got Nico Horner, Joey Wendell, Aaron Judge. Like, not a lineup that I expect to do too much if Jasson Dominguez doesn't come in there and absolutely run ship out of the 9-hole, that's for sure. So we'll see what kind of happens here in spring training. Is I'd like to see what the pitching rotation looks like for the Yankees this season as well. So lineups look as such. They really don't look this great at all. Pavin Smith in there. Kind of looks like we are going to struggle a bit this season, I must say. So Jasson Dominguez, just kind of check his contract status. $700K for 2024. So he's now 21 years old. Not much to really write home about yet for him in his MLB career. But stay tuned. We'll see what happens here, because that's kind of going to be the interesting part for him, is to see what happens in this season, as this is really the breakout year. Cole, Odorizzi, Lorenzen, Boyd, and Cortez. We have 2 or 3 80 overall pitchers or above. That is going to be rough. So let's sim the season and see what happens right out of the gate, as the Yankees start out 4-2, but then quickly drop below. And that's kind of funny. These prospects, they come in, they're hyped and all this, and then all of a sudden the teams they're on, just in these simulations, back-to-back simulations, haven't been capable of getting out there and doing their thing. So now we find ourselves going through 2024 and the Yankees doing just enough to stay above 500 right now, but is it enough to maybe find a playoff spot? More than likely not, as Garrett Cole coming up with some big wins so far for the season. And now, look at this. You doubt this team, and they're 39 and 23, and just absolutely out there blitzing this record, that's for sure. So now, what do, right? It's just you hope a little bit that it turns out for you and you can get these guys to the World Series, but you also want to just see these guys go out there and kind of succeed as well. That's the biggest part of it, as that was the problem with Bobby Witt Jr. is he didn't really have, other than one season where he hit like 37 home runs, he didn't really have any seasons where he was just an absolute stud at everything, other than that one or two seasons where he was in the 30s for home runs. So is what it is. Give me a second here. But now we're hopefully going to see Dominguez kind of turn out a little bit the same, because Witt Jr. ended up being a huge kind of guy for the Colorado Rockies, signing that big $25 million a year deal. So that'd be nice to see as well. So here we go. Skip that. And away we go into the back half of the season here. The Yankees absolutely dominating. Looking like, despite the terrible team, they may indeed have a shot at making the postseason here. 78 and 59 on the season. So now you just got to hope again that they're going to do it here with, how about that winning streak to get that done. And I think that will secure a playoff spot if you are the Yankees. So neither of the minor league teams make the playoffs, and the Yankees, yes sir, have made the playoffs as a wild card team. So we'll stop that and we'll go see Dominguez's stats here as he's moved up into the 7 hole. He finishes with 486 at bats. He's an 81 overall at 21 years old now. 137 games played, 117 hits, 27 doubles, not a single triple. So he goes from having 12 triples last season to having 0 triples this year, 12 homers, 44 RBIs, a couple more base on balls, a couple more strikeouts, 241 batting average, 679 OPS, because he obviously is missing those triples, right? And then kind of a little bit different season, down in WAR, better fielding, but down in WAR. So interesting little note there. And you look at this lineup. This is the lineup that managed to finish as a wild card team. That's kind of hilarious, because this is not at all a good team when it comes to being on paper. You look at this rotation: DV Garcia coming up and pitching for the Yankees the past since 2022, and finally getting into it fully now. And this bullpen, a little better than it was, but not quite the greatest. So I don't know what to say, but let's sim the postseason. It happens here. The Yankees have been eliminated from the postseason by the Red Sox in a 1-0 game. The Padres win the World Series. And now, hopefully, we can have Mr. Jasson Dominguez go out there and do something. Looks like Steven Ridings retires after having 5 innings pitched in 2021. Miguel Cabrera retires with 507 home runs, 3,056 hits. So you'd like to see him obviously do that. I think he has a chance this year in 2022. I'm not really sure. I haven't been paying full attention to that. But you look at this, whole bunch of free agents signing right out of the gate. Alex Verdugo signs with the Cardinals. Danny Jansen with the Giants. And Freddie Peralta with the Guardians. Tyler O'Neill with the Tigers. Burns with the Cubs. Benintendi to there. DeGrom to the Rays. Polanco to the White Sox. Stallings to the Houston Astros. Garrett Hampson to the Brewers, and the Moncada to the Braves. Gleyber Torres, that's a big loss for us. Or is Torres with us? Or is it the other guy? I don't know. Anyway, no worries here. We'll get through the spring. Too much to keep track of here in these career simulations at this point. And we got to even see if Jasson Dominguez is any longer with the Yankees, because that's the other side too, is he very well might not be at 81 overall now. Your contract, $700K for 2025 yet again. They are just underpaying the crap out of this guy. This is unreal. I mean, 81 overall, obviously don't expect millions of dollars here, but see this, decent contact, decent everything. just has 1 more or 2 more years of development where he really needs to grow, and then he should be good to go by about age 24. And the Yankees, I guess I should have shown you the lineup for the Yankees this year. I did kind of Tommy Edman, Nico Horner, Aaron Judge, and then it kind of all falls apart the rest of the way. Your only 80 in your bottom 4 spots is Jasson Dominguez, who starts out the season cold. Pitching rotation still not improved at all, and the bullpen looks just as tremendously terrible as it did last year. Class A, only 1.2 innings pitched through 12 games. So, what are the Yankees going to feature this year? That's a tough question, but I guess we're about to answer that, aren't we? As a whole bunch of losses looks like the answer to that question. And then all of a sudden they come roaring back to try and get the job done, I guess. Not really sure. Not really a big Yankees fan at all, being a Blue Jays fan. So just telling you that much as well, is it's looking like it's a pretty ugly career simulation so far for our man Dominguez here, who just can't seem to bite the playoffs at the MLB level. So hopefully something goes our way here in the next couple seasons, or he finds himself a new team, he gets traded, something like that. Because it was Bobby Witt Jr. after he became up to like a 90 overall that he got traded over to the Cincinnati Reds. And it was kind of funny because for Witt Jr., he played in all small markets in the MLB throughout those first 10 years that we had him. He kind of went out there and played in Cincinnati, Kansas City, and Colorado. So, right, not exactly the big market teams like an LA, New York, Boston kind of deal, or San Francisco or anything, kind of coast teams. So, that was pretty interesting for him to kind of go out there and just never see the big markets and never really have those big years where he's winning an MVP or anything. And I don't know if that's going to happen for Jasson Dominguez here either, as right now, part of winning an MVP is having a good team around you that you can thrive off of. And Adley Rutschman, who's only up to an 85 overall at age 27, goes to the Milwaukee Brewers now. And yeah, right, part of it too is getting that big contract and stuff like that. And through the first 3 seasons, it doesn't look like that's quite an impending thing as of yet for Jasson Dominguez, who's just trying to kind of find his way in the MLB still after starting this simulation in AAA. We could have started him at the MLB level, I guess, but he would have been a bench player full time. And I don't know if that would have been quite the right thing to do right out of the gate. So just more true to life, I guess, is what I was aiming for. The Yankees finished 74 and 88 on the season. Just is what it is. The Cardinals have defeated the Blue Jays, and that will allow us to go check 86 overall Jasson Dominguez, may I add. Holy crap, never mind. I was saying that this guy needed to do some growing this year, and that he did. How about that? 33 doubles, 5 triples, 17 home runs, and 69 RBIs. That's what we're talking about for a third year in the MLB. A 272 batting average and 800 OPS. And that is a fantastic little season if you are Jasson Dominguez at age 22. Stolen base percentage of 786. And look at this, a WAR of 4.5. So never negative WAR, almost up to 10 career. And just absolutely coming out and crushing it. Everything else looking like it's been better or closer to better than it's been in his career. Power speed number 13.4. Secondary out, like, look at this. Batting runs created 17.4. Stolen base runs just about as good as that 1.8. And runs created 73.0. That's fantastic for him, that's for sure. So, okay, there you go. He is kind of growing up a little bit. And now at 86 overall, should have a chance to really impact this Yankees lineup. Nobody retired from anywhere, so we don't need to worry about anything. And now we'll get into just skipping this. Genesis Cabrera, Kyle Tucker. And all of a sudden, my nose is plugging up on me here. Hold on, guys. This ain't going to be good. Will Smith going out there for the Yankees. Or Will Smith signing with us. Sorry, we are the Yankees. Oops. That's interesting. All right, so that's Will Smith coming over to the Yankees. And now Framber Valdez, Byron Buxton, Willie Castro, Mike Soroka to the Guardians, Kevin Biggio, Brent Grisham, Brendan Rodgers, Jake Cronenworth, Nico Horner leaves us, Tommy Edman leaves us. So the Yankees really just lost some key pieces right there, I guess you could say. Jasson Dominguez now fully in the leadoff spot. Connor Joe, Aaron Judge, Will Smith, and this is a team that is going to be led by 3 85-plus players, and that's about it. As you see, they don't even have Francisco Mejia DHing because I guess Dominic Smith's got that 79 power versus righties, and Mejia's in there against left-handers. So interesting kind of lineup notes there for the Yankees as you'd like to hopefully see your better overall players that kind of have more tools to them go out there and DH for you. But I guess at the same rate, you don't want your backup catcher out there every single day. So that is fair. Let's go to sim season here and see what we can do from this point forward as this Yankees team still pretty much has the same pitching staff it's had for the past 3 years and still getting these same exact results we have for the past 3 years. A ton of losses piled up here, and it looks like Everson Pereira gets Peter Guzman to the Yankees, so interesting trade there as well. Then you have a big trade between the Royals and Rangers, and still nothing quite happening here. The Yankees, who have now lost pretty much 35 games. Nick Gordon, Patrick Wisdom comes to the Yankees. Okay, that's maybe a big get for the Yankees for sure. And now all of a sudden you've got 38 losses before the first year player draft in June, and that's kind of a rough go, that's for sure, because you'd like to see them kind of start winning before then. But Brian Hayes goes to the Blue Jays, and now you've got a whole bunch of trades happening here early on in the season. Teams jockeying for position in the standings. The Yankees just kind of miring, toiling in the losing bin kind of deal here. And the Yankees will get Matt Williams and Luther Trejo from the Dodgers for David Bednar. Interesting trade again, and we'll kind of stop here at the All-Star break as Jaden Palmer and Herschel Murphy come in for Michael King. We are getting all kinds of players coming in here, and I'd like to see how that kind of adjusts the roster here as Patrick Wisdom comes in as the DH, but really it doesn't adjust much at all. You see this Yankees roster. Hold on. Is Jasson Dominguez injured, or did he get traded and I just didn't notice? That isn't good at all. Where are we at? Where do I check injuries here? Skip notifications. Jasson Dominguez on the IL. All right. He's had 339 at bats so far this year at 87 overall. 8 home runs, 34 RBIs, 10 steals, a 268 average. Okay, so he's had 90 games played. Just went on the IL. 268 average, 767 OPS. So he's not doing too bad, and that WAR, where's it sitting? 2.4 still, and he's got plenty of time to keep it growing. All right, let's keep going then. So we are through 98 games in the season, and the Yankees have traded Aaron Judge. We'll acquire Gunnar Henderson McAbel, who's going to be a pitcher on our squad, and then, of course, a relief pitcher in Scotty Peralta. So this is just, again, and now Ronald Guzman, Kevin Smith, and TJ Sekema go to the Marlins for Victor Meza Jr. I guess trying to bolster it up now that we've got an injury history with Jasson Dominguez, who was on the IL last we checked. Jay Bender and Damian Rodriguez go somewhere from somebody else. And this is the trade deadline. We'll have one more trade. Diamondbacks make it, and that is it. That is all. My goodness, my friends, this one is getting to be a little bit of a disaster here for this Yankees squad. Let me tell you, is this going about as good as it did with the Royals with Bobby Witt Jr. If you watch that one, you'd know what I'm talking about, but this one's kind of been tough, that is for sure, as we've got ourselves rolling through September here, 63 and 93. I think we're going to add a 95th loss before the season's out. In fact, we're going to add a 98th loss and finish below 400. And for the Yankees, that is all. That is it. As Jasson Dominguez now an 89 overall, decent little power to him, good contact. He's a solid guy that's going to come in there and win you a couple games. 4 years of MLB service so far, 10 homers, 44 RBIs, only got 17 more games. OPS kind of down there, 755 career average is what it's looking like, and that WAR at 2.6 so far. Okay, all right, that's fine. It's good and dandy. We'll advance to the off season, and that's it. That's all. And somebody else is retired. Clayton Kershaw ends up in the Hall of Fame. That's really not up for too much debate, I don't think. Sim off season, and here we go. We're gonna have to start hitting square. Ronald Acuna in the Marlins system now. Garrett Whitlock. Dylan Carlson goes to the Orioles. Freddie Freeman gets traded from the Braves, or from the Dodgers, sorry, to the Red Sox, who are now making all kinds of acquisitions and trying to load up in the AL East, and it doesn't look like we've quite acquired anyone here. So Jazz Chisholm goes, Tyron Taylor, Cale Badu, Jesse Winker to the Padres, and yeah, Gavin Lux now with the Red Sox, and it does not look like we have added anyone that's going to be too useful to our lineup here, although Gunnar Henderson's there, Victor Meza, Francisco Mejia, you've got Jasson Dominguez, Alex Degody, Jeremiah Jackson, Gio Urshela's back, Curtis Mead, and so this lineup's a little bit better than the one we had last year, I guess you could say, and pitching rotation is a lot more improved over the previous years, although the bullpen is somehow just about worse than it was, so that is an interesting note, that is for sure. We'll sim the spring and get on with the hopefully winning, I guess you could say, here for this Yankees team, is maybe a bit of an improved roster. Going to lead to a bit of an improved situation here as we're starting on the 25th of March. They're really trying to jam in games now, aren't they? As unfortunately, that is not going to lead to more winning, as it looks like we are about in the same boat as last year so far to start the month of April and March, as several games below 500 and not even sniffing 500 now, as fully 10 games below. That's an enjoyable experience if you're trying to do a career simulation where you want a guy to do as good as he can, but that seems to be the par for the course. You let the computer build teams, and they really don't go out there and build winning teams around their small, young, budding superstars. And this Saul is somehow received an important message. I don't know how that works, but we're finding ourselves now fully into the All-Star race, All-Star week in 10 days, and looks like we've got a freeze in the system there. Something was holding us up in the sim, and it's potentially this right here that they were processing, as we'll get Michael Ciani and Eric Pardino from the Diamondbacks, and now we'll get Reggie McCarthy for Miguel Castro as well. So a couple big trades there for the Yankees to shuffle the deck, but I don't think any of them are really that good of a trade, especially giving up Davy Garcia. And now going through the All-Star break here, we'll get into the AAA All-Star break, and this should be it. This should be all, as we're almost fighting and clawing back to 500 here, to be quite honest with you. If you're looking at the record, we are now fully right back in that 500 chase, so maybe not as bad of a lost season as last year, but still not a great season at all for the Yankees now. You'd like to see it kind of improve a little bit here down the stretch, but I don't think it's going to at all happen. As again, the loss is kind of coming hot and heavy here to end August and start September, so now finding ourselves 69 and 78, 70 and 80, and kind of struggling down the stretch here, as that's it. Okay, minor league team made the playoffs, and we're going to finish 76 and 86, so not quite as bad of a finish as we had last time out. And Jasson Dominguez now a full-on 90 overall. Look at that, maxed out fielding essentially, and really the contact power and all that, really not that fancy. 13 triples, 39 doubles, career highs in both those categories, career high in hits, 17 homers, 74 RBIs, solid little career start right there. 819 OPS, wow, just unreal, that is for sure. You look at this here too, where do we get to the WAR? 5.6, so he's coming out of his shell a little bit here and really starting to become a factor, and I think he could be a Gold Glove caliber player, that is for sure. So he could be a Gold Glove guy. As this saw the Mariners win another World Series within these years. And the Yankees, Chris Murphy has retired due to injury. He was a nobody, so looks like maybe he was somebody, but never really entered the MLB The Show system. And now we'll see if Jasson Dominguez actually gets a big contract here or not from the New York Yankees here in 2027. Francisco Mejia got traded, so far goes our hopes that one day maybe getting somewhere with this team, I guess you could say, as there's a lot of activity. Looks like it's the Twins' turn. Bobby Witt Jr. only at a 90 overall so far, goes over to the Guardians. Yon Moncada, Tyler Mahle, Sergio Alcantara, and that will do it. That'll be all, and we are into spring training. So there we go. Lineups. Jasson Dominguez coming in with a $6.1 million contract at 90 overall, 25 years old. And these are his stats once again, looking to get in there in this Yankees roster. Look at this, led by Dominguez, but look at how much better it looks. Manuel Margot in there at 87 overall at 33 years of age, coming in from the Tampa Bay Rays since 2020. So he's only had this his third team. And this looks like a not too bad roster. As long as the pitching is not too bad, I think we could have a shot. And unfortunately, the pitching is pretty bad. So it just is what it is. You're kind of living and dying by it at this point. Devin Smeltzer coming in over from the Minnesota Twins from the past several years. Looks like he had no go there, but let's get over to this and sim spring training and see what happens here. As spring training, we're not too worried about this one, that's for sure. But now you've got Jasson Dominguez pretty much potentially on his last contract as a New York Yankee. We start off with an 11-5 win, and now it's hands off the controller till the first trade and essentially see what happens. But for the Yankees, it's starting out the same exact way it has so far, as Bryce Wilson becomes a member of the New York Yankees. And it's really not going that great at all to start the career for Jasson Dominguez, who will only get 9 years in the MLB out of us here. And we've only got a couple more seasons to go in this career sim now. But this roster kind of trying to really stay steady now throughout the mid part of the season, 25 and 32. You can find anywhere to bolster your roster and kind of get some depth into this lineup. You could potentially turn this around in July, but right now 33 and 40, 34 and 41, and just hoping to turn it around here at any point. Maybe right here, 40 and 43, and now only 2 games below 500, and that's where we'll kind of tail off there for a little bit. Bo Bichette goes from the Rays for 2 players that really don't look all that special, and that is it. That is all. Skip, and the Yankees get rid of Manuel Margot. So we're already sellers at the deadline. Love to see that. That's excellent. Sellers for yet another year. We just can't seem to ever crack that playoff bubble since that first year where we got into the the wild card situation there against the Red Sox. Genesis Cabrera, and of course we made that trade, but still no Jasson Dominguez trade. So it looks like so far the Yankees are committed to this young kid and making him their superstar of the future, which is nice because Bobby Witt Jr., I can tell you at this point, he was already on to the Cincinnati Reds and not getting much done. And here's how about that, some winning right there. So this season's not going to be quite as lost as last year, I don't think so, as we may finish with above 76 wins. There's 77, 78, and we're going to try and push for that 500 mark right here. And 80 and 82, so 494 winning percentage, not bad at all. That means we have no playoffs to go to, and Jasson Dominguez now fully in that leadoff spot again, as he's up to a 92 overall. His power versus left keeps going down. Speed just went down 1 for the first time in his career. And he had 44 doubles, 12 triples, and 20 home runs in 170 hits. Again, career high in doubles, career high in home runs, career high in RBIs through 6 seasons now. 143 strikeouts, 53 walks, 14 stolen bases, career high there as well. Career high in average, career high in OBP, career high in slugging. So that means OPS is there as well. So that means that WAR must look really good, 6.2. And this guy just continues to put up great numbers. At bats per home run, second best of his career. Power speed number looking great. Secondary average looking great. Batted runs created, that is looking fantastic there. Stolen base runs, 0.6 negative. Runs created 1029. That is phenomenal right there. And how many runs did he actually have on the season? How about 89 or a career high again? So he is going out there and absolutely crushing it. You imagine what Jasson Dominguez in this sim would be capable of if he could go on to a winning team that this Yankees team just isn't quite yet. As A couple of Blue Jays retire. Okay. The Yankees have retired in a couple of years, that's for sure. We'll sim the off season here, and now we'll get into full-on sign-in season. It looks like the Diamondbacks are going to be the team that goes out there and spends some money now. Genesis Cabrera signs. He's kind of bounced around the past couple of years. I think he's only signing one-year deals. O'Neill Cruz, 87 overall. Gabriel Moreno signs with the Blue Jays. I don't know if they traded him. And there's a whole bunch of guys signing, but nobody with the Yankees as of yet. So keep that in mind. We may be adding up a whole bunch here, but we're not adding anyone of any potential value. Nobody signed Jasson Dominguez to a contract, so that's the other thing to do here. But potentially somebody did, because look at this. He's nowhere to be found on the Yankees roster. So now we'll just go to player search here if that's still a thing. Transactions, player search, and primary positions, center field. And we'll go right here, Jasson. See what happens. I don't know where he ended up. Hit search with the Cincinnati Reds. Why, of course he ended up with the Cincinnati Reds. Isn't that just the way it goes? As that looks to be about a $25 million contract for the next 6 years. So, okay. Or 5 years, sorry. No, 6 years. As he goes in with the Cincinnati Reds. So I'll show you how this will work from now, as we'll go around this way and we'll go over to the Cincinnati Reds and we will follow them. Even though we're the Yankees organization, we will follow the Cincinnati Reds and see exactly what they do from here on out. That's spring training. Spring training has come to an end. You simulate right up there. And lineups for the Cincinnati Reds. We'll see what they feature here for this new look roster. And oh goodness. Alright. Let's get going. What are you looking for? Oh, it's on the ground somewhere. I knocked it over yesterday. Yeah, sorry. Anyway, so Jasson Dominguez is right there, 92 overall, atop the lineup with C.J. Abrams, Rafael Devers, and this is exactly what we were talking about, a team that's going to put together some winning streaks here, and this may be just it that Jasson Dominguez needs in his career to try and win that one World Series that we're trying to chase right here in 2029. So far, not a good start for the Reds, and things are going off great. And now we don't even have to worry about the Yankees trades because we've got our guys somewhere else, and we don't have to worry about anything from here on out. We'll be alerted if he's traded because he's 92 overall. And look at this. This is not starting out good in the National League for Jasson Dominguez, who's seen the Cincinnati Reds, despite all that star power at the top of the lineup, struggling just as mightily. I guess I didn't check the pitching staff, and you kind of look at the pitching staff. That looks to be the issue here, as Hunter Green's still on this team. He's 3-6 on the season. And all that promise that I just hyped you up about at the start of the season comes to fail right here for this squad, as they are not progressing at all that well. And look at this. This is all is going to go down to the wire here, down the stretch, into kind of, we're just struggling to come up with anything at this point in terms of wins. So for the Reds, a disappointing season, and it looks like it will not turn around here prior to the All-Star break, which means more than likely, based on simming history, it is not going to turn around at all, and that may mean somebody from the Reds is going to end up getting dealt here right away. And looks like nothing happening there, and that is nothing there, so we're going to continue on. All right, through and on we go. As the Reds. That's going to mess me up because we've just had to pay attention to the Red Sox all simulation long. The Reds not getting anything done here this season. We're going to finish with an atrocious record, absolutely awful. Going to be at least 90 losses, I'd say. And yeah, right there, guarantee it, 90 losses. Congratulations. One of our other teams got it done. 72-90 on the season. Just absolutely brutal. And somehow the Baltimore Orioles are the team to figure it out and win a World Series. That's something else, I guess you could say. And the Reds, do they have anyone retire? The Reds have Kyle Finnegan retire, who has not pitched in the MLB since 2022. There you go. That's an interesting note there on that. However, Jasson Dominguez was injured at one point in this season. He resumes action in this Reds lineup, and that kind of is where I struggle as we get going here. We'll get over to this, and it doesn't even look like he's on the lineup card right now. We had Ryan Mountcastle in here, Rafael Devers in here. So let's go here, and I don't even see anything. So, oh well, we won't worry too much about it. We'll sim the off season, and we'll get Dominguez back in here for everybody, and that should be good to go. We'll be good. Kind of started losing my train of thought 45 minutes into a live video, but what do? We'll sim through, and this should be the last season of Jasson Dominguez in the MLB for this career simulation to figure out how things have gone for him. Josh Hader still a 93 at 35 years of age, and so far no big trades. Looks like Anthony Volpe turned into a fantastic little star for somebody, and we'll sim the spring and get on with it, I guess you could say. That's really all there is to it here on an early Easter morning, 10:28. Sim, and let's go here. Lineups, and over to the Reds we go. And they are going to have this here, Jasson Dominguez at the top of the lineup. He only played 120 games, had 33 doubles, 3 triples, 12 homers, 33 RBIs, 267 average, OBP of 33. So still not a bad season, but not a great season at all. That WAR still a 3.6, however. So it definitely didn't appear to be his fault completely as to why these Reds sucked. But again, a guy who just doesn't put up massive numbers for you. 76 career RBIs, high, I guess you could say. So he'll start in the leadoff spot yet again. And we are not looking at the Reds. We are looking at the Yankees here. Get to the Reds, who are 4-2 to start the season. A better than average start to the season, I guess you could say. Now trading off wins and losses here, 11-7, and here come the losses in droves. 14-5-2, and okay, this could be one of those seasons you just kind of squeak into the playoffs now. So just kind of pay attention to what happens here down into the All-Star break at 23-24. First time below 500 all season, and kind of fighting to maintain 500 if you're the Cincinnati Reds, which is better than finishing 70-92, I guess you could say. So we'll take what we can get. Beggars can't be choosers, right? The better off of a record you get, the less I should be complaining, I guess I should say. 43, 44, 46, and all of a sudden now the wins are coming up quite clutch here. 52 and 44, 54 and 44, and this is the All-Star break here. Skip and skip, and an organizational message there, as there's a bunch of stuff happening for sure. The Yankees get Gaylord Spoon, 85 overall. All right, good for them. And Ronald Ayala, I guess. And oh, look at this. The Padres going all in here. Despite the Reds not needing to go all in, Gunnar Henderson goes over to the Rangers, and we're 63-50 at current. This is fantastic. Loving to see this. This may be the season. The Cincinnati Reds, of course, who Bobby Witt Jr. in our last simulation went to the World Series with, are now sitting here going to a 78, 79, 81, 65 record, and a bunch of losses in September here isn't going to sit us too pretty. And this could be just exactly what the doctor ordered to ruin what was a good season. The Yankees haven't finished, and the Reds do not make the postseason at 87-75. So we'll quickly check Dominguez's stats here one more time and see how he finished up in what was a much improved season for all involved on the Reds. He goes down 1 in overall, as it looks like everything's starting to falter on him a little bit here. 29 doubles, 3 triples, 14 homers, 50 RBIs, 57 walks, 286 average, so almost right there on that career high 287 number, 415 slugging, 765 OPS. So because he's not in the 3 or 4 hole, I think that's what I'm blaming that on. 4.8 WAR, so again, still not a negative WAR. and that runs created still kind of off that great pace of 102.9. But batting runs 17, like that season, that one last season with the Yankees was the one to write home about. That is for sure. So we've got one last season to go here, my friends, and that will be it. That'll do it for the first 10 years of Jasson Dominguez's career in the MLB. And let's get this going. Well, I guess first career sim, the first 10 years. So, everybody's signing away, getting the job done. And Zach Veen signs with the Yankees. And this would be when the Yankees decide to come up clutch and win a World Series, because just you can't have nice things is all I'm saying. Hans Crouse signs with the A's, Julio Rodriguez, Benji Craw, Jose Devers, Jake Fraley, Greg Jones, James Woods, lots of names here. We'll get through this. Kim signs with Nationals, and there we go. Let's sim the spring, see what these notifications are all about, and get on with it here now, as it looks like Mickey Bell is still the longest tenured Yankee at this point. Absolutely clutching it up out there. So let's go to the lineups, see what the Reds are featuring as they try to improve yet again on what they achieved. CJ Abrams at 95 overall. Max Muncy, got Jasson Dominguez, Ramon Silva, Lutz, Baez, Watson, Vasquez. So this roster actually kind of takes a downgrade. And because you don't have really anyone with too much power, they're going to put Jasson Dominguez in the 3-hole, which ain't a bad idea. If you want to talk about a guy coming up clutch and getting you a whole bunch of RBIs, he is the guy to do it, hopefully in 2031. And we're winning by a lot of runs here when we do win, so not necessarily a bad thing. Hold on, this is the Yankees again. Yikes, brutal. Guy forgetting twice in a row. I think I did this late in the Bobby Witt Jr. career sim, but you see here now we're 11 and... Well, we were 11-11, and now all of a sudden the losses have started taking over for the Cincinnati Reds, who are just not scoring runs. There's 3 shutouts in a week. That's pretty brutal if you are Jasson Dominguez and the Cincinnati Reds. So here we go, 2031, and all of a sudden starting to win towards the end of the month here, simulate the first-year player draft, and call it all good for the rest of the way home, as this will probably be another lost season for Dominguez, who in his MLB career only makes the postseason once, plays 1 game in the first 10 years, and that is it. That is all by the looks of it here, unless something massive happens in July. As you know, I kind of picked this July as the time to turn around if you're going to, and maybe this win streak right here might, as it snapped last second. And so that doesn't mean much good for us at all, as we were really trying to come in and not be sellers at the deadline. And it looks like indeed that is where we're going to end up, as the Yankees get Benny Montgomery. And 49, oh, here we go. Nope. Can we finish it off? Brett Phillips gets a couple of players over to the Yankees. And this is it. The Yankees acquire another great player, Sebastian Ascension. And that is all she's going to write pretty much for this season. It's going to be a 500 season, and that's about it. All right, so Jasson Dominguez in his first 10 years in the MLB The Show career sim, really not going all too well here at all. Look at this, 69 and 77 for the Reds. Everybody just struggling. Both teams never really amounted to much at all. And we're going to see the Reds finish up 77 and 85. Just brutal. And who wins the World Series? Cleveland Guardians finally win one. Lineups, well, go over to the Reds and we'll see last second here what Jasson Dominguez finishes up with, as he is going to finish with a leadoff spot. 9 seasons in the MLB, 139 games played, 21 homers, 66 RBIs, 52 doubles, 4 triples, 282 batting average, 360 on base percentage, so that's a career high. 500 slugging, it gets back to close to a career high. 860 OPS, that is a career high, and everything else other than that, right? The WAR, a career high 6.7. So he's an effective, great player who definitely did the job well in his career. Just his team failed him. He got injured at the wrong time that one season. That's really all there is to it. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Yak. This is Clem Hawks. I am up on out of here.